The wind froze around them the moment she raised the crossbow. Every soldier on that ruined training field saw the glint of the explosive bolt, and every heartbeat tightened at the same time. No one expected the smallest person among them to hold the most dangerous weapon in the unit. They only understood one warning when she spoke. Do not breathe. Asterisk, what city are you watching from today? If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more real stories about extraordinary people. Asterisk, she was Lieutenant Aria Holly of the Navy SEALs, although no one knew her real file. She carried the kind of clearance that lived behind locked doors and redacted reports. The new recruits only saw a quiet woman with calm eyes and a posture that never faltered. They mistook her silence for weakness, and she let them. She arrived at the mountain base as part of an evaluation team, but the commanding officer introduced her as a junior sniper fresh out of selection. The narrative fit her cover. It also fit the arrogance of those who were about to test her limits. The mountain facility stood far from any city. Dust rolled across the open yard where concrete barriers formed the maze used for advanced ambush training. Aria walked through the area shortly after sunrise, taking notes on the trainees. Most ignored her. Some smirked. A few whispered comments they believed she could not hear. She had been in the field long enough to understand their tone. They judged her size. They judged her gender. They judged her quiet confidence. She felt no urge to defend herself. People who underestimated her rarely did so twice. During the morning briefing, Captain Rowan singled her out. He tapped the table and told everyone that their weakest link had arrived. He questioned her skills in front of the team and said she would get crushed during the afternoon simulation. Aria kept her posture steady. She asked a single question. She asked if the team valued accuracy over noise. He laughed and ordered her to prove she could keep up with real soldiers. The recruits joined his laughter. Aria remained still, but her jaw tightened for a fraction of a second. The conflict began when the training exercise escalated beyond protocol. Aria was assigned to the red team, expected to simulate enemy threats. Rowan placed 6 of his most aggressive recruits on the blue team and gave them full permission to eliminate her role in the scenario. The objective was to storm a mocked weapons cache inside the concrete maze. Rowan gave his men a quiet order to target the young woman first. They agreed without hesitation. Aria entered the maze with nothing but her standard sidearm and a compact crossbow designed for silent operations. She knew the explosive bolts were disabled for training. She also knew the recruits believed theirs were live. The simulation horn sounded. Boots thundered across the dirt as the blue team charged in with loud confidence. Aria heard them shouting about finishing her quickly. Their arrogance filled the concrete corridors. The first sign of trouble came when 2 recruits cornered her near a barrier. They tried to force her down by rushing her from both sides. Aria stepped back, judging their movement. She did not speak. She acted. She slipped between them with perfect timing and swept one to the ground before redirecting the other into a wall. The shock on their faces told her everything. They finally realized she was not the weak link. The rest of the team grew agitated. They pushed deeper into the maze and began violating safety rules. One swung a rifle stock at her head. Another tried to pin her arm. Their intention was no longer a simulation. Their frustration made them reckless. Aria's patience began to thin. She disarmed one recruit and kicked his weapon out of reach. She warned them to disengage. They refused. Captain Rowan watched from the observation deck with crossed arms. He had ordered them to break her confidence. He wanted to see her struggle. Instead, he watched her shift into a calm that unsettled even him. He keyed his radio and ordered the recruits to push harder. They obeyed without question. Aria realized they would not stop. They treated her presence as an insult. She stepped back into the open courtyard where sunlight cut across the ground. The team circled her. Rowan declared over the speakers that the training would end only when the last target was neutralized. Aria raised her eyes to the deck and held his stare without blinking. Then she reached behind her back and lifted the compact crossbow. The recruits froze. Nobody expected her to use the weapon in a direct confrontation. Arya loaded an explosive bolt and aimed it at the ground 10 feet in front of her. Her voice carried across the courtyard. She ordered them not to breathe. For a moment, the entire base fell silent. Rowan's smirk faded as he realized that if she fired, the shock round would detonate with enough force to knock everyone off their feet. She held the trigger steady. Her expression never shifted, but her presence changed. She carried a calm authority that demanded respect without raising her voice. Arya finally spoke to Rowan. She reminded him that evaluations were designed to measure teamwork, discipline, and integrity. She told him he had broken protocol and encouraged violence. She told him that leadership without honor collapses in the field. Her words struck harder than any weapon. Rowan tried to argue, but his voice cracked. He knew he had crossed a line that could end his career. The recruits slowly lowered their weapons. Shame replaced their earlier bravado. Arya set the crossbow down carefully. She reported the violation to command. Rowan's authority was stripped within the hour. The recruits were reassigned for supplemental training on conduct and discipline. Arya was asked to debrief the unit and restore their morale. Later that evening, she walked across the quiet courtyard. The recruits approached her with newfound respect. They apologized with sincerity she had not expected. Arya accepted their words and gave them a lesson they would remember long after they left the base. Strength is not measured by volume. Power is not measured by intimidation. The true measure of a soldier is their ability to steady their mind when everyone else is losing theirs. She reminded them that restraint requires more courage than aggression. She reminded them that silence used wisely can guide a team more effectively than any shout. She reminded them that a leader stands firm not to dominate, but to lift others with clarity and purpose. As the sun dipped behind the mountain ridge, Arya returned the crossbow to the armory. She had proven her identity without revealing her rank. She had shown that true authority is carried, not announced. She walked through the base with the same calm steps she had taken that morning. But now every soldier watched her with admiration instead of doubt. She did not need to say anything more. They knew who she was. What did this story make you feel? Where are you watching from? Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more real stories that heal the heart.